They were ordinary people with extraordinary hope. A retired teacher in Ohio who trusted her savings to a digital promise. A software engineer in Lagos chasing financial freedom. A college student in Seoul betting on the future. They had all seen the same ads, the celebrities, the slogans, the gleaming certainty of a revolution. Then one morning, the screens froze, the wallets emptied, and $4 billion, their dollars, simply vanished. Not stolen in darkness, erased in plain sight. Las Vegas, March 2021, confetti cannons erupted. The crowd roared, a countdown clock hit zero, and trading volume numbers exploded across massive LED screens, millions of dollars in transactions supposedly happening in real time. Investors cheered, cameras flashed, but those numbers were fiction, generated by automated bots before a single real dollar ever changed hands. The celebration was real, the exchange was not. In the history of financial fraud, few lies have ever looked this convincing, or this expensive to produce. Somewhere inside these blockchain records, billions of dollars simply stopped moving. User deposits, real money from real people, flowed in continuously, time-stamped, traceable, undeniable, but follow those funds far enough, and they vanish into a cluster of wallets that never paid anyone back. No withdrawals, no transfers, no explanations, just silence. The forensic trail doesn't lie, but it does go cold, and that's precisely where our investigation begins. Not with a crime scene, but with an absence. The credentials were immaculate, on paper, a doctorate from MIT, a decade forging deals at Goldman Sachs, but university registrars found no record. Former Goldman employees had never heard his name. Side by side, the lies unravel with surgical precision. Meanwhile, their CTO had been quietly barred from financial services in Germany and the Netherlands. Regulators had the paperwork. Nobody connected the dots. Two architects of fraud, building a billion-dollar stage, while the audience handed over everything they had. Behind the exchange's gleaming interface lay a deliberate lie written in code. Leaked engineering documents reveal a matching engine, processing perhaps 20% of displayed trades. The rest, pure fabrication. Algorithmically generated phantom orders filled the order book, manufacturing the illusion of a thriving marketplace. A whistleblower developer who built core components describes it plainly. They weren't matching buyers with sellers. They were painting a picture. $4 billion flowed into a system designed, from its foundation, to deceive. 3 funding rounds, 32 institutional investors, $340 million raised on the strength of financial documents that were, in every meaningful sense, fiction. The audits looked immaculate, stamped, signed, credible. But within weeks of each closing, that institutional capital quietly disappeared into offshore accounts, merged invisibly with user deposits, becoming indistinguishable, irretrievable. The investors who trusted those numbers weren't naive. They were deceived by a machine specifically engineered to deceive them. Between 2021 and 2023, at least 6 formal complaints landed on the desks of America's most powerful financial watchdogs. Independent researchers, competing exchanges, former employees with inside knowledge. Each filed detailed warnings with the SEC, CFTC, and FinCEN. Each received the same response, a form letter, a case number, and silence. Documents obtained through FOIA requests reveal every complaint was administratively closed without a single investigator assigned. Meanwhile, the exchange kept advertising on American platforms. American dollars kept flowing in. Inside the CFTC, enforcement attorneys watched the fraud unfold in real time and felt powerless to stop it. The question of whether a digital asset was a security or a commodity wasn't academic. It was a jurisdictional trap. Cases were opened, reviewed, then quietly shelved. Senior leadership couldn't agree, the SEC wouldn't coordinate, and sophisticated operators had studied this paralysis like a blueprint. While regulators debated definitions, billions moved through phantom exchanges, and the watchdogs, by their own admission, simply looked away. While customers trusted the platform with their life savings, the exchange was quietly purchasing something far more valuable than technology. It was buying legitimacy. Public disclosure records reveal $4.2 million spent on Washington lobbying firms in a single year. Fundraisers hosted for Senate Banking Committee members. 2 former regulators hired as compliance shields. These weren't coincidences. This was architecture, a carefully constructed fortress of influence designed to keep the watchdogs blind while the fraud accelerated behind closed doors. At 6:47 a.m. Eastern, the first cracks appeared. Withdrawal timers that once counted seconds began counting hours. Users refreshed screens, posted screenshots, tagged support accounts that never responded. By mid-morning, the CEO's blog post used words like temporary and liquidity event, corporate language designed to calm without explaining. But the timestamps told the truth. At 2:15 p.m., every account froze simultaneously. Servers entered maintenance mode. $4 billion went silent. The maintenance window would last forever. For Marcus Chen, the frozen screen meant his children's college fund, his mortgage safety net, his family's entire financial future, gone silent at 3:47 a.m. For hedge fund manager Diane Kowalski, it meant 17 clients who trusted her judgment, now facing catastrophic losses she couldn't explain. For journalist Sarah Okafor, it meant watching her own published warnings scroll past on Twitter while her inbox flooded with desperate strangers asking the question she'd already answered. And nobody had listened. 3 people, 1 screen, 72 hours of silence that would never end. In the 96 hours after the exchange froze, blockchain forensics revealed something extraordinary. $4 billion didn't disappear. It moved. Deliberately, methodically. Through 847 intermediate wallets spanning 7 jurisdictions, the funds cascaded outward like a controlled demolition. Some tranches converted into privacy coins, vanishing into cryptographic fog. Others surfaced inside real estate holding companies in Dubai and Montenegro. But the most chilling discovery? Hundreds of wallets that received significant sums and have never executed a single transaction since. The money isn't gone, it's waiting. 2 years later, the reckoning exists only on paper. The CEO sips coffee in a jurisdiction with no extradition treaty, having granted 1 interview from what witnesses described as a luxury villa. 2 junior executives absorbed the criminal consequences, 18 and 24 months respectively, while the architect of the collapse remains untouched. 340,000 victims watched their class action dissolve in jurisdictional quicksand. And the regulators who received documented warnings, who had the evidence, who had the authority. Not 1 formal review, not 1 consequence, nothing. 3 years after the collapse, the architecture of fraud remains largely intact. A congressional staffer drafts legislation she admits may take years to pass. A security researcher pulls up live dashboards, 3 active exchanges bearing the same digital fingerprints as the phantom before it fell. And a woman who lost her retirement savings no longer asks for justice. She asks only that the next person searching for financial freedom online finds a warning before they find a wallet address. The reckoning never came. The next collapse is already loading. They came back to where we started, 3 ordinary people who trusted a system that was never watching. Maria lost her daughter's college fund. James lost 11 years of savings. Priya lost her mother's inheritance. None of them were reckless. None of them were warned. $4 billion. Thousands of lives fractured. And when the dust settled, the numbers told the final damning story. Not of a market failure, but of an institutional failure. Deliberate, documented, and entirely preventable.